Happy Friday. Is it Friday? It's Friday already. Happy Friday. Laura, that looks like a good coffee.
Yeah, it is.
Am I leading us? All right, I can lead us.
I can do it if it's okay.
Yes, ma'am. We are in your capable hands, Tatavik.
So, hello everyone, happy Friday. On Friday, let's talk about what we have accomplished during the week and if we have any blockers, let's tackle them before the end of the day. So, I will start with the right at the corner with Laura being the first one.
Hi everyone, happy Friday. So these past few days I've been working on finishing that first demo I had made. I've been working with Michelle and Pablo to make kind of like that last few edits, and I've also got on with making those shorts for our LinkedIn. It's going pretty well. The process just kind of takes a bit long because it's just like pretty large videos I have to load, so that just takes a while, but I should be getting on to finish it by Monday next week. So yeah, no blockers for now, and that's where I'm at.
Nice work, Laura. Are you doing this by hand or are you using the AI?
No, I'm using CapCut, but like there's a limit. Like there's a feature that allows you to convert like long videos into shorts, which is good, but like sometimes it's not great. Like it kind of like gets the audio messed up, and then I just have to go back and fix it. But there's like similar to Opus, there's like a limit of like the amount of clips you can put in, and I'm like reaching that limit, so when I do, I'll just like do it, like cut it by hand. But like that's like no problem because I've watched the videos and I kind of know where the most interesting bits are.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
if you need a tool, we can get you a tool. If we need to buy any AI tools, we can get it for you.
yeah. I,
Anything
I think
anything
for now.
interesting? Did you find any interesting
Um,
clips?
yeah, I did. I mean, I'm still finishing up on like cutting some of them up, but definitely did find some of them interesting and try to put like the ones I most liked in that demo that I made. Um, so yeah, good stuff there.
Nice.
Thank you. Let's go to Joaquim next.
Okay, sorry. Hello, everyone. So, um, I first pushed a few things to the latent variables PR that I had put out. One of the things was to have a certain number of retries for crucial calls, and this was based on. This was prompted by suggestion by from Tatovic, and yeah, so I think I'm pretty confident the code that's there has good quality, that it's running. It should have no problems. I was also trying to solve the issues with concept testing. We figured out what the main issue was. The Azure subscription was finished, so Avi solved that. There's still problems with external personas. I put out an issue for that, and Subodh and Madi will take care of it. And I put out quite a few additional issues that were in like my local backlog, and also some based on suggestions from Avi. And that's it.
Eric next.
Hey, so let's see. I sent out an email to reschedule the Sunshine Sax. Um, demo now that we're back up and running. I got an email from Saatchi and Saatchi, the big advertising company, that he wants to move forward. So he puts our stuff. I sent him, a collateral, and he puts it into the internal IA council they have, which seems to be what a lot of these companies do. So, and told me that he'll be back in 3 weeks, traveling to Europe, and then he'll address this. So that's good that we got in there. My email to Saudi Airlines goes out today, basically to, update the entire team and get anybody that is not in, hasn't responded to my email to sort of like update and get it all going. I hope to have a meeting next week and, move this thing forward. I've joined a bunch of retail organizations so I joined the American Apparel and Footwear Association. I know it's just fascinating stuff. National Retail Federation. I joined the National Restaurants Association, and I'm figuring out how to get into the CMO Council. And the reason I'm doing this is obviously to try and identify prospects and, target them. I have a bunch of targets that I'm focusing on, mostly companies that are either in the middle of mergers, so that causes opportunity when a merger happens, or their stock is doing so poorly that they're looking for a change. And I created a internal strategy, which I'll share for the demo part about how we all could sort of drive leads towards me. And I'll share that later on. That's it. Thank you. Myself. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm hesitant about paying any money. I mean, for anything. I mean, we'll see. I've been, spending some of my own money to join a couple of things, but it's insignificant. Um, but let me put something together and we'll have a place where everybody can look and see. So at least there could be interesting content in some of these organizations that we can use in our marketing, because I notice the trend is discussing how to incorporate new marketing. And some of the articles they're talking about is how marketing is failing retailers, which, speaks right to us. So, yeah, and then I craft a very, poignant email to that individual citing that article, and, but anyway, we can talk about that. But yeah, I will find out the pricing and put things together and start loading up a document for everyone to see.
And we are moving to Avi.
This week, since Wednesday, I've been turning around diligence items. One for a large accelerator, not Y Combinator. One for this other guy. These are like 6 and 7 figure checks that we're in diligence for, which is a good place to be. One of the folks that was in diligence with us, actually somebody that Pablo brought to us, recently kind of paused, which is like VCs never pass. They never say no. They'll just like slow down, because you know, they want to see more revenue growth. So that's something that I've been focused on in order to achieve that. I've reached out to folks to join an advisory board. These are like industry leaders. The other thing I did was on Wednesday we talked about putting together a revenue share agreement. Thanks to Joaquim started that conversation. That was very nice. I put together a revenue share document with Gaurav. Actually, I shouldn't say I put it together. Gaurav put it together. Thank you, Gaurav. I would like to circulate that to the team to get that in place. What else did I do? Diligence, revenue share, yeah, and then another demo. I also wanted to apologize. I was cranky earlier this week, yesterday actually, and I was short and unkind to Joaquim actually, and that was not cool. And yeah, I guess we don't just want to share our successes. We should also share our failures. So that was one of my failures. What was another failure? And that was my big failure. And then a couple of VCs, one VC passed. I don't remember which. I don't know if that's a failure though. A small, I don't even know what VC she's from, but Julia Pepper passed. That was my week.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Let's go to Michelle next.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So I've been continuing to work on just exploratory marketing and market research sales efforts. Finished up one case study this week, so really excited about having that, in the process to be published. Already kind of using that in my follow-up for demos. So that's good and exciting. I've got another case study in progress, just moving along, steadily with that. I did meet yesterday with an advertising agency, and they are the ones that do regular market research for every client that comes in their door. And he said that he found the platform to be extremely compelling. Seemed to be pretty excited about it, wanted me to send him everything that I could about it. He said that he doesn't think it will ever replace traditional research, but that it's an additive in a way that traditional research doesn't account for. He sees like failures in focus groups and things like that from traditional research agencies that he works with. So there's still maybe a little educational effort to go on there with him, but he's very excited about it, wants information, wants to share it with his team. He really wants to make sure that, they know how to use it and what they can use it for very clearly for their organization. So I'm just trying to lean into that and provide him what he needs. I do have a proposal out to a fractional CMO group for kind of different ways that they could incorporate Subconscious into their offerings. So I'm just kind of waiting to hear back some feedback on that. Yeah, and then I met with a credit union this week as well. They want to level up in the area of data and especially AI. They feel like they need some help getting a handle on AI and the use of it for their organization. So I think that a lot of organizations are in that position where they feel like they need to level up with AI. So I think that opens up a door to talk about Subconscious. And then as far as groups go, Eric, I did put in an inquiry to join that Marketers That Matter group, and I haven't heard back from them yet, but I've submitted my request for the information. I have a lot of connections, in the CMO world, a lot of CMO groups. So, I'd like to talk with some of you guys about, that and what my role could be in that, because, I have the possibility to join other groups that I'm not a part of. So, yeah, we'd love to coordinate about that. And also, just as far as I don't really have any big blockers, Pablo is being great to give me what I need to move forward. Would like to talk with Pablo later and reconnect with several of you about. That's it.
Thank you. Let's move to Gaurav next.
Yeah, so I had a blocker which is talk to Subodh about the numbers of the confidence level. I still need to talk to Subodh. I haven't been able to get hold of him this week. However, I started two things. One is I started moving my PowerPoint to Google Slides onto Avi's presentation. It is also interesting that PowerPoint has become so powerful now it actually cannot replicate stuff, functionality in Google Slides at all, some of these things. And the other thing, I started looking at the competition, and we need to get to a state where we only have like 4 competitions. We can't have like 13, right? So 13 means you don't know the customers well, you haven't segmented your market, you don't know your problem. Like it's just 20 years ago, I presented something like that to a sales guy, and his immediate reactions, we don't know what we're doing, right? So it needs to be 5, and one of those 5 could be Nielsen traditional, or whoever, some traditional research, Nielsen's one of them, but we can't have like 15 startups that are competitors. And part of the thing could be the focus areas, like we many ways segment, but we just need to have this like handful. So what I did was I started doing my own analysis on the competitors, but I was hoping some other people, and actually Eric sent me a document, so I need to look at that one. I was hoping people had sorted this out earlier. Otherwise, I appreciate Avi making a comment about that failure, because I was in that meeting, and I actually felt like I needed to follow up with Joachim after that meeting. Okay, so then also the revenue share, I came with a quick model. It wasn't 100%. It wasn't all me. Some of the factors Avi was basically I didn't have knowledge, everything, how long you guys have been there and all that. But I just came up with a framework. It is using a model that's somewhat similar to a Buffer, which is a company that has complete open salaries. They're actually running this model of open salaries, a formula-based salary determination. It's a very a cut down version of that using just a couple of factors. Okay, that's my update.
Thank you. Let's move to Pablo next.
Good morning. I just got Samir Munshi. He is the head of behavioral science at Ernst & Young. Meeting with him next week. Added you, Avi. I'm happy to add other people. The talk will be around introducing, obviously, the product or the platform or whatever type of engagement we can do. And also to potentially put us in front of their corporate venture capital arm. I've been doing a lot of outreach also to a few of my other friends that are in corporate venture capital, including most recently, again, Sony, that I've previously mentioned. We have a meeting lined up, I think, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, mid this month. I also had been doing a lot of follow-ups with existing deals to kind of get feedback on their decision or a decision, and negotiate on price. And I don't want price to be in any way, shape, or form a blocker whatsoever. We are leaning in case studies. Also supporting everyone on the team on the marketing and sales side. Supporting, of course, Eric with his deals, giving him background cloud coverage. Working on Ulta as a new deal opportunity, as well as a CVC opportunity. I have Kiana, who's going to make a reference there. Also supporting Michelle. She just published soon to publish a case study. So now we have some real good case studies that are coming into the pipeline, and she has several others that she's working on. That stuff is gold. That stuff is currency. So I'm going to challenge Mia, Lara, to put it in your radar. And to backlog of things that we should be talking about, as is A16Z. Outside of that, continue to do a lot more outreach, again, on LinkedIn, my own personal LinkedIn campaigns to align new opportunities. That is a motion that recently started, so it takes a little while to bear fruit. And I know the same thing is happening with Eric, so thank you for pushing that. That's it.
Pablo, based on the feedback you're getting from your network, is there any advice or direction you can kind of give us? As far maybe specifically as far as the guy Gaurov's question from earlier about who our true competitors are.
Yeah. I've been hearing that, you know, I get a lot of from like my really close friends who are they don't censor themselves when it comes to feedback or input. You know, what the real truth of what's happening right now in the industry is that we are bunched up, not in market research, but literally just AI in general. And there are things there that are associated that are not necessarily good. One is that everything that is AI is immediately compared to the user experience and the value points that ChatGPT offers, period. So, you know, that includes price points. Another thing is, I think, Avi, you had mentioned this, or I think it was Sobod who mentioned this, but everyone gets promised the world, and they're tired of getting promised the world and are very skeptical, and that skepticism is increasingly growing. There's also something that we do really well is that a lot of companies focus on what they do, not necessarily the outcome that what they do affects. And frankly, I think that is a big annoying thing that I personally have, a gripe that I have with the world of market research. It doesn't matter. What matters is the outcomes. But here's another pain point, and Michelle and I have been speaking about this at length with the case studies. If we focus on outcomes, it takes a long time, unfortunately, to get outcomes as case studies, because it's like the second, third layer of the work that we do. So how we build case studies, I think there's like certain layers, like a layer that is relevant, immediate value, right? Or, being able to go deeper and wider. Level 1, that's something that, that they achieve immediately. Level 2 is, the ability to reach out to clients in days, right? Not weeks, not months. And then layer 3 is, okay, after they implemented this, right? Did they increase revenue? Did they increase margin, et cetera? So that's other pieces of feedback. We got to get better at I have to get better at positioning. I mentioned that this morning, positioning subconscious and introducing it, and explaining, what it is, and maybe how it works. I know we have assets. I've put those in front of everyone. It is just questions that we continue to get. I know, Gaurav, you're putting a lot of thought into it, so I think that's going to be really helpful. And I think Subodh too has been recently leaning in, including Joaquim, to kind of provide color. But those are the big salient points, I think. 90-yard line, last mile. Yeah, things I've been saying. Yeah.
Move to Sarah. We can't hear you actually. No, we can't hear. Okay, let's go to Hadi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Hadi.
Okay. So hello everyone. Happy Friday. On Monday, I fixed some issue in the front end related to concept testing for it was the payload issue that I was sending. That is fixed. Then I started working on moving the ambush chat agent to the website. I'm also right now like working on it. How it's working is uh, like in the website only we create another page if the user is not authenticated. uh, it will redirect to the main app. If when they log in there will be a silent authentication. Then we get the user ID, and similar to experiments page we get all the users experiments, and for each experiment there will be a button for chatting with AI. And I have added some code to the website, but there are some issues that the ambush code has some issues. It's React, Next.js. Mostly, what he did was to like copy the React code and put in Next.js application. They're almost the same, but the difference is the configuration files and the routings. Uh, yeah, so I was working on it. Hopefully next week it will be ready. Today I talked with Subodh. Uh, I didn't check the tracking code, but Subodh said that it's not that we can use. Uh, like I'm a bit like confused. Should I continue or what should I do?
Hadi, you still have to work on the analytics page of the concept design, isn't it?
Yeah, I will work on it today. What I did was about that ambush chat this week. So
Okay.
till today I was working on the ambush chat. So should I like what should we do? Should I stop working or continue? Maybe it's a question for Subodh and Avi.
I mean, to me, the priority should be concept testing because at least that is something we can show as a concrete example. I mean, even if you add ambush chat, it only explains like 10% of the whole experiment.
One thing, that's a good point. One thing also to consider, Subodh, for your decision, we engaged this other consulting team to build the chat agent based on Pablo's workflow.
Simon, right?
Simon, yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
So he has done most of that work, but what he is not building is a web UI where we can surface those insights or have that like multi-step
Chat.
chat, yeah, on the website. So just
I already asked this to Hadi. I did tell him like if he's able to integrate Ambush one fine, but mostly it should be about having a nice interface from the UI, because eventually Simon will build the endpoint which he can just use to display back and forth the chat.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
So it's nice,
So
Hari, that you are
the
able to integrate, and then eventually we'll just replace the Ambush backend endpoint with when, if and when Simon's once is ready.
actually the ambush code for the front end, it's I can say it's messy. It's I see like duplicate files. It is four files or duplicate. There are it's a whole project. And I think it's not needed for a chat application to have like this much code.
Okay.
Uh, we can build a new one instead of using this one.
Okay, so I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if that is more of a labyrinth for you, then yeah, I mean, take something new. I mean, it's appalling that a chat interface code which should be like you copy from anywhere on the web now is so complicated. Like that should have been the easiest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, I like the style it has. It's looking nice. But the library it used it was Radix UI, which we don't use. We use Shatsian, and it has like lots of codes, and it's still React and structure the configuration everything. Uh, so I think it will take some time to like fix those issues. If we build a new one and use Shatsian for all components, I think it will be consistent. Maybe we get the style which Ambush has, it will be better.
Again, I mean, at this point, whatever is faster, I mean, people are not really going to complain if it looks, not as flashy as long as the contents are there.
Mm, okay.
So whichever way is faster for you, take it.
Okay, got it.
Let's move to Madina.
I'm not sure if my connection is good or not. Let me try. So, yeah, so this week I have worked on the AWS migration, which eventually we are bringing Duplo Cloud, and also interviewing some front-end and DevOps engineers uh, to, yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Go to Mia next.
Content to work on, so I'm just finishing up a blog post for the AZ16 article that went out and creating some social posts around it too. And just finishing that up today. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Oh, nice work, Mia, this week with the LinkedIn. For whatever reason, we're like number 2 from all of our competitors. Maybe it's the A16Z shout out. Not sure what it is, but really good job this week.
I think that honestly helped a lot because there's been a lot of separate mentions from other people. So our page is showing up from other people mentioning us. So I think we're just landing on different pages, which really helps us, obviously, which is great.
Yeah, nice job capitalizing.
Thank you.
Let's move Back to Sarah. We can't hear you. Go to Subot next.
Yeah, I think my updates are still nil, kind of. Haven't been able to get around anything, but I did see Joaquin put his changes for latent variable. We talked, there's a bit of change. I think Joaquin already pushed or yet to push, I'll have to see. But I guess once that's done, then Monday I'll sit with Tatwik now and then we will integrate, we'll update the analytics part of it. Is the code kind of ready, Tatwik, based on what we had seen last week?
What we have previously worked on, I have polished it everything, so it works like top to bottom, but I haven't like added anything new.
Okay, that is fine. So we can go through like 1 class, 2 class, 3 class, check the AIC criterion and see which is the optimal class, get the size of the class, everything. So everything's polished.
There's also some issues that I put out, Subodh, and there's a specific one that I just wanted you to check.
Okay.
It's very minor, but it has to do some. You'll see, it's very intuitive.
Okay. Yeah, Tatwik. Okay. Okay, so I guess when we see on Monday, we'll know where it stands. But if, like you said, code is almost polished, it should not take us more than 5-6 hours to tie everything together nicely.
I guess I'll go next.
Yeah.
There have been some issues with the R code again this week, so thanks to Modi for sending me all the bugs. One of them was not my fault, it was the Azure connection issue, so the prompt I sent it like didn't fail gracefully, so just in case it happens again, I added like some additional checks. One is half my fault, so there's this thing. I got a survey price and it was categorical, so I got $100 to 150, 150 to 200, and so on. And then the real life product was like $50 or like $75. So I didn't find a match. As a temporary solution, I just made sure if it's low, it goes to the lowest price range I have. If it's high, if it will go to the highest price range I have. So at least it's like I will have some estimate for it.
Can you share that JSON with me, Tatwik? That's a very strange thing.
I will send it right away.
Okay. And if the price was categorical, then somewhere, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see where it failed. Generally, price should not be categorical.
Have I accidentally skipped anyone? Okay, good. So we can proceed with demos. Who's going to be first?
Pablo suggested I share this internal document on leads, so I'm going to do that. And it's really simple. I made it really simple. It's just let's see. Hold on, I'm having trouble. Why won't my screen? Oh, I see what's going on. Bear with me. It seems to be. My internet seems to be happy.
You can only share screen if you're using the desktop version of Discord. Oh, just kidding.
Yeah. Yes. No, I get that. I'm out east, and so we get flooded with people that come out for the summertime and use up all the internet. So let me know if you guys can see my, hold on, let me see if you can see screen. Can you see something that says internal sales strategy?
Yep.
Okay, you guys can see that? Okay, so basically what I've done is just create a map, a very simple way for you all to just plug into your network and send, leads and connections my way. This is really not selling, but really just a way to connect. So think about former colleagues, friends, neighbors, classmates, family, friends, everyone that counts. Make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn. So after this, if you can, and we're not a connection on LinkedIn, make sure we can be a connection on LinkedIn so I can see your connections as well. So I can look into to see who's on your network. Dig deep on LinkedIn. Look where people work and what industries they're in. So what I'm just trying to get the names of your contacts and what companies they're in. Make sure that they're in what we're looking for, which is retail or consumer facing, and I'll talk about that in a second. Also, you might want to see what groups, so as you go to your contacts on LinkedIn, if you scroll down to the bottom, see what groups or associations they are part of. You can join those as well. Those are pretty simple. Those are on LinkedIn. What it does is the larger your network is, the more people will see our content and updates. And so, again, pretty simple ways to expand our presence. So when you identify someone who works in a company, in an industry that we want to contact, that we want to target, send me the name and the company, and that's it. And I will do the rest. You can email it to Eric at Subconscious. You can put in the subject line, potential leads from your name. And then once I get your lead, what I will do is I do research. I go onto the company's website and identify who the decision maker is. And so here, and this part is, I'm not exactly sure, but I then need to go on LinkedIn and use your contact to get to the decision maker. So you can even ask your contact, once we discover who the decision maker is, if for an introduction. Or I could maybe go to your contact and ask them via you for an introduction to the individual, which is someone in a marketing capacity. And then, all I ask is check your phone contacts, your Facebook friends, cross-reference with LinkedIn. Look for anyone in retail, in consumer products, in e-commerce, or anything with a consumer-facing brand. And then any new names or contacts along, as we're going through all of this process, or helpful information or anything, send it directly to me. Even if you're not sure, the name of a company could be helpful. I'm really good at getting the information. And so I'm not asking you to sell. You're just going to ask your contacts, where do they work? What do they do? Really just where do they work? I just really need to know what company they're in. Because getting a warm lead from someone, even if they're not anywhere near marketing, is just easier than a cold. And so I'll send this document out to everyone, but and this will evolve as we sort of see how this goes. But any questions, concerns? Okay.
It's a good document.
Just be. Come on. That's it.
Great. Does anyone have any other demos they want to share with us?
I can do a pass with the presentation I'm working on. I was hoping to do another pass with Avi and Subodh in a smaller group first, but I could just go through this also.
Yeah, share things when it's uncomfortably early.
Yeah. Okay. Are you guys seeing the presentation screen?
Yep.
Okay. A couple of things. What's important about this is not exactly what's said. What is the flow and the punch points of when things are said. So you guys have been talking about this and know about this way more, and you can fill in the right context. But I have this flow down in a way that would make sense to someone who's relatively new. So a couple of things. One is we need a one-line summary statement actually, and this I'm not going to spend too much time on because this is still debated. We have to first determine what is our key value proposition. But it's one-line summary statement, and it highlighting it once we know what our segmentation and the actual key pain points we want to address. The next part is the pain point. So we have identified that traditional market research falls short, and falls short in several ways. One of the ways is that what people say is not necessarily what they actually do, and this is common when people respond to surveys. And there are ways to get around this, but it's very expensive for companies to do this. You do advanced analytics. So most people just rely on surveys, and they don't get the accurate responses from their respondents. They get poor coverage. They don't. Certainly, the people that respond tend to select a certain type of profile. They don't get necessarily reach people that are not in their existing email lists. And if they're trying to reach prospects, they may not get the diversity that they need. The traditional market research takes a lot of time, so the time to value is significant. It's significant enough that people will sometimes do fall back on lower quality approaches and get incomplete results before they actually spend a lot of money on the actual initiative. So but you could solve these problems with very expensive and inaccessible market research, which is why there's a small subset of people actually do this advanced quantitative behavioral analysis and causal analysis research. And then there's a known problem that survey respondents are incomplete and also a certain percentage are fraud. And there are ways to combat this, but they're expensive and inaccessible to most companies. Subconscious, and with these pains, certain amount of money and time is lost, etc. So I don't have the numbers, but this is what the story points would be ideally. Subconscious addresses all of these things as we use simulated respondents that are representative of the population, and then because they're simulated, they get rapid feedback, and the lower cost means that they are accessible for any type of initiative, and because they're simulants, we can actually guarantee 100% response rate. What is subconscious AI? Subconscious AI is synthetic agents that simulate individual behavior. Then they are based on the advanced artificial intelligence work that's happening now, but the unique source that Subconscious has is it seeds those AIs with public purchase and your data and the behavioral science to see the behavioral science to see the AI. So causal simulations are an important part of the differentiation, and I'll go into a little bit more in the next slide. But this is one of the unique things that Subconscious offers. It allows you to actually simulate and get insights by predicting behavior and not just what people would say. The platform is an end-to-end platform that just takes a survey, set up scenarios and experiments, and then you get you can look at your predicted results in some narrative form. The benchmark agents the agents are benchmarked against real studies, and as we do more and more experiments, the knowledge compounds. So subconscious will get better and better as we do more and more experiments. So what is causal? So causal, this is one of the unique differentiators for subconscious is causal analysis that's based on hidden traits. So traditional research is very correlation based, and this is causal. And what does that mean? So traditional research is based on socioeconomic demographics. That gets us a confidence level of, market research users confidence level of 5%. If they use object of study, where they're now looking at features and ask pricing and things like that in the study, they can get another 15%. But the hidden traits and the causal analysis gets you to double the confidence level to get you to another 20% confidence. There is still a significant amount unexplained, and here's where we would fill in like why that's the case and why that is okay, which I don't know the answer to. So with subconscious, how does subconscious handle that? Is well, we set up all of the layers. There's the demographic traits that are set up in the system. There are the conjoint analysis, which is where we set up the discrete choice experiments that are similar to the object of study. The LLMs are seeded to respond seeded to respond accurately for the object of study. And then whether so the unique value of subconscious is when the AI personas are seeded with motivation, attitudes, and perceptions. And there are two parts to this. One using simulated data, which is what we have now, and and later we will add external psychographic data from some of the common research work that's been done. So the way subconscious works is that we sit on top of an LLM. The behavioral scientists see the LLM. We can use any LLM depending on what the purpose is. Okay, so I'll just pause a little bit here. I forgot to mention, like, I was hoping some of you guys would just take notes on stuff that are wrong in this thing or that need to be changed. But this is the slide, I think, Subodh, that Avi, you, and disagree significantly on the numbers. So it's up to have the discussion, like, what are the numbers? And is 2x to getting us to 40% actually going to be credible to a fund, to investors?
I prefer to Subodh's numbers.
So these are Subodh numbers. Then we have to come up with a messaging why saying unexplained 60% is okay. And I don't have that answer. I'm not in this industry, but this is what I would.
Okay, maybe then this is how we project. So we know out of 40%, right? So maybe to investors, 40% is explainable, right? So of that 40%, what is the demographic? So that will be what? 50% will then become hidden traits, right? And then 35% will become object of study, and another 15%. So maybe we put it that way. Of the total variance explained, right? This is the proportion. So we'll just scale it if that makes the picture look good.
So I did think about that. And as you'll notice that this is actually a separate, it's not even part of the graph. I put it here because if you do true scaling, it's like whacked, right? This is like pushed down the bottom. So Pablo, if I just say that total, like some number says total possible explained is like 40, and we show a graph that says 40 is broken up by these percentages, does that avoid the problem that we have to explain why the max is 40? Okay, we don't have to answer this question right now, but think about that's the problem I have with this slide. If I see like, even we can hide the graph visually, but at some point it has to say like 40%, or we just hide that.
But then if it's for investors, then I don't think we need to even say that 40%. We just say of the total variance explained. Now it could be anything depending on the study. Let it be.
Okay. So yeah, we could just remove the unexplained and just talk about this and go to 2x.
Yeah,
and then
just scale it up.
Okay, then someone needs to explain confidence level. Like someone needs to explain that at some point. I can't because I don't know it well enough. Okay,
just say total variance explained, like simple. I think that
But
should be understandable to anyone.
it's not understandable to me.
Okay.
So I am as dumb as your investors.
So, okay, so you tell me. So if I say total variance unexplained, what does it like? What does go into your mind
So I have
when I
no
say
idea
the
what that
word?
means, but confidence level, I assume is
Mm.
some measure that tells me how confident I can be
Mm.
in the result. That's why I use the word confidence level. Anyway, don't have to come an answer right now. Let's move on. So the next part was the market research breakdown. So market research is broken down into 123 billion in 2023 numbers, because qualitative is 20, quantitative is 70 billion of that. Subconscious plays in the quantitative space, and of the 70, 46 billion is the surveys and questionnaires, which is where subconscious plays in.
Before we go to this, Gaurav, can you go to the previous slide? Sorry. So one thing that I just realized as another differentiator of ours, because we have causal models and because we simulate individuals, this is actually something that we never talked about before. We have the ability to know which individuals are influenceable. And so here, when you say, we explain 40%, right, that's at a population level. We can find the individuals where we can predict 80% of their behavior. We can find the highly predictable individuals. And we can tell you which individuals are more susceptible to, not susceptible, that's the wrong word, but more influenceable, who's on the margin. And so in certain use cases, voting being the big one, we can actually target people much better as well. So it's not just on a population level we're able to predict higher quality. We can target individuals with higher quality. This is something that's not possible with focus groups or descriptive or qualitative research.
Okay, that's a good point. I've not seen that anywhere. In my okay, I'm going to put a note of that and work out where I need to fit this in. So let's move on. So this is the total market research. So 46 billion is online mobile quant, and this is where subconscious plays. And here are the opportunities. The opportunity is there's decent amount of this quantitative, online mobile quantitative, that is using basic quant surveys without the access to advanced scientists and maths and hidden traits. There is a part that is using it, and those are people that can afford to spend a lot of money. Subconscious opportunity one is to bring causal behavioral quant, make it accessible for a higher percentage of this 46 billion. I don't have a number. I would love to have a number of this, and I have this marketing green book here has actually this behavioral and it has behavioral and causal. I get 40% of their respondents, but I don't know if their respondents are representative of the market. So it'd be good to get a number, but in not absence of a number, I think I can understand this concept. There's second opportunity. Sorry.
There's two good documents recently that came out. One is the 2025 Qualtrics market research report. The second is Mary Meeker's bond document. That's like 380 slides. Like you need a language model to go through it. Both of those have some interesting quotes we could use. Also, when you were asking earlier about differentiating us from our competitors, right? I think this is the slide that does it, because I don't think any of our competitors do quant. Evidenza claims to. I haven't seen their product. Michelle has. But I think this is where the separation comes, right? We have of the 14 competitors, 13 are qual. We're the only ones in quant, and this could maybe make a good slide for that.
Oh, so that's important, because I assume the evidence and other people were doing quant, but otherwise it wouldn't be on your list. So
nobody's doing quant. I don't even know that Evidenza is.
Okay. Let me. So then the second opportunity is there is this, because advanced quantitative analysis is expensive and inaccessible and takes too much time, and basic quant is poor. People fall back on qualitative, which will get you something better than basic quant and you'll give you some deeper insights, but and cost less, but cost less than advanced quant, and you can get some faster time to value. But it is not getting you to where you should be getting for making sure your confidence level, making sure initiatives succeed. So the second opportunity is where qualitative is being the fallback because causal behavioral quant is so expensive. We can move into and make causal behavioral quant accessible there. So these are the two opportunities I saw in my mind. Yeah, whether these are right or not, you guys can provide feedback afterwards. So the next part of the slide is this thing, which is I haven't changed. This is basically the AR projection. There's a competitive landscape. So I had, I put the quantitative here, and this already had these guys marked as quantitative. No, maybe I put this. Sorry, I put this column here, this quantitative column, and I'd assumed that these guys were all quantitative, which is why they were here to start off with. But that's great if they're not, then that'll quickly whittle this down to a smaller list. But I need to. I'm just started working this one. So yeah, so that's it. That's all I've been working on. But I think these are important things. There's still sub questions to be worked out. And yeah, thanks.
I mean, at least to me, the first 4 slides are like very perfect. Now they really describe in a very succinct way the product and the difference. So that is very clear.
Yeah, thanks. And the words I said with each of these points can be made better because I'm not living it. I'm just giving you the punch points that I'm hearing and this flow. Now, what is interesting, I looked at Avi's latest one, and what the problem statement is actually noticeably different. I don't know if you realize it. So I have to have a discussion with Avi. He has subconsciously hidden some problems, and I want to know. And what he's hidden is actually the causal in his thing, so which is interesting. So we need to decide, like, are we going on a cost, inaccessibility, time to value, or are we going on causal is unique? So at some point that has to become clear.
I guess cost is kind of implied with all these AI applications, like they will be cheaper than the real human or traditional ones. So I mean, it's good to have, but may not be the most important distinction.
If we can market based on demographics.
And I think somewhere maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but really need to focus on that we have replicated some papers. So there is some validity, like, based on replication to what we are saying. It's not just, okay, here is an interface, run it.
True. I think that I did say at some point I might have got dropped. Yeah. Oh, I do have a statement that benchmarks against real studies. So maybe that punch point needs to be cite some papers.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, some of that stuff, I can't put it all on text. So some of the person talking the presentation needs to say, when it's size studies, I mentioned all Stanford, whatever that is the thing. Yeah, I can say real studies / research or something like that.
There is a number which we have now, which is like 57% human AI equivalency. Maybe we can use that number.
Okay.
And then, yeah, if somebody asks, we can explain what it is and how do we get there. So there is some concrete number to show.
Okay.
2 points, just advice. If I put my consultant hat on, I'll tell you what my managing director would say. One, use cases. Like, how is this used? Again, the goal is not to, no stakeholder is going to pay just for the sake of getting a visualization or research. No one cares.
Yeah.
It's-
So
it's-
actually, I didn't go through the whole deck, attraction, milestone, case studies, team. Like I didn't go anything for that. I just got to the ones that I got to.
Just want to make sure that you have that top of mind. And then the big one is, the so what that always annoys me behind the slide. By the way, that's not a me thing. Everyone knows in consulting that's like a term that they use, right? The so what. I like the slide around the 20%, then 40%. Does it cover 60%? But what is the so what? Like what? Like that's the hard part, right? Because they're getting reports from Nielsen where they interviewed, 5 people, and they're saying that they have a confidence level of 95. No one knows how they came up with, and it's clearly not variance explained. It's just some random R square that they make up with, but they're comparing ourselves to that 95%. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So Pablo, the question is, how do I come up with the so what? So I've been in this field like 2 weeks. You got me doing it for 2 years. So give me the answer. So what I wanted was like, I did actually, my original version has numbers, but at some point I need to come up with numbers for some of these things as placeholders.
Yeah.
I don't fully even understand what confidence level and these things are, but if we can convert it to so either we do that in the case study, we say, okay, we have this, how the case study impacted, was that real things, or with some research paper that I can point to.
Question to Pablo. So Pablo, when you say what if, does it have to be a statement or does it have to be a number? So for example, if you include latent traits, what will differ? So you will have true price elasticity, like true as in the best you could get. This is still not like the real one, but it is closer to truth versus when you don't. So do you want that exact number or do you want some statements like this? What will be best?
I've been grappling with this as well, guys. This is a collaborative effort that I'd like everyone to be a part of. I don't have the answer to tell you. I'd like to. We can propose ideas, and as a team, we need to align. I'm learning more about.
Maybe I can do the following. In some of my papers, I'll have some graphs. So it's like this was the real truth, and when you include, so real truth as in this is, let's say, the market share of option 1, 2, 3, 4, real, and then this is what we got when you don't include the latent variable versus when you do include. So you will see the difference.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah,
okay. I can get that.
Yeah, that the more of that where it's here's the world that you currently live in and how shitty it is, even though they tell you that it's 95% confidence level, etc., right? But yet you complain every day that you're not hitting outcomes. I wonder why. And then here's the new world that we're offering you, right?
I'll get that.
That's actually really cool.
Actually, can you send that to me also? And also the 95%, that's another thing I want to talk to you super about. We looked at, Pablo sent me the Gartner or not Nielsen thing, and they said 95% confidence level. So what are they saying there when we say 40% the max you can get? I think I sent that in some question, but you might have been aware. I'll find that. I'll see if I can find that.
Right.
Does this also tie into indexing our data that I asked Subodh about? where we focus on,
B2B, B2C.
yes, where I could use that specific information to market to people to say, as compared to like Pfizer, which was looking for lab managers. So does that tie into anything of what this, I'm trying to get my head around.
This is all based on B2C kind of studies, Eric. So everything holds true only in the B2C consumer context, like normal people.
Yes, which is exactly where we want to be.
I think where Eric is alluding to, Sabot, and I know that there's a lot on your plate, so uh, do with it what you will, is around in the world of B2C. It's a massive world. There's tons of like sub verticals, right? That direct to consumer B2C covers. Is there does the data that we have and therefore the behavioral insights that we generate have, I wouldn't say a bias, but a certain strengths in terms of verticals that, Eric can therefore like target and be like, oh man, direct to consumer clothing brands, right? That is our hardcore sweet spot. We're super strong there. We're confident. That is our space. And therefore, our friend Eric is literally working in retail for the next few months. You know what I mean? We're going to put him in front of Gap, right? Or is it direct to consumer candies, right? Or foods, right? Or is it, entertainment? What kind of entertainment? Like hoteling, etc. Like the world of direct to consumer or B2C is very, very large. The more we can look at the data that we have, even the 500 experiments that we've run, and kind of deduce like what space generates the highest confidence level, that'll allow us, Eric in particular, to prioritize the spaces and the companies that have the absolute highest level of interest, the ones we can be most confident about. Just that's where the idea is coming from.
Okay.
I'd love to get your thoughts if that's even relevant or not. Yeah.
I think it is relevant. So of course, most of the FMCG will fall in. Even I think the clothing, makeup, these things will fall in. I'm doubtful about anything to do with health per se, because I really don't think LLMs would have gotten access to that kind of detailed data during their training. Those are like always hidden behind the desk. Whereas these data are easy to find out in the market, so they would have gotten those. And if we have to focus on health, then maybe I guess we take some 4 of 10 papers specifically from those field, quality ones, and try to replicate and see how good or bad we are. Then that will give us some confidence if we can say something with certainty. I'll look into that, but yeah, most of FMCGs, yeah, retail, these things.
That'd
Even
be great.
purchase of, yeah, like automobile, residential property purchase as well. Those things should hold. What is
all this came out of our meeting, Millipore and Pfizer, realizing we don't really have the LLMs trained. We could get it, but let's start with the low-hanging fruit before we start, right, spending resources on areas we're not in right now. So great. That would be, yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Pablo, for clearing that up, for explaining that.
I think to this day, Gaurav has done an incredible job of explaining really the unique why and our superpower. I really do. That's why I keep bothering him, or at least answering his questions. That one slide around, again, the 30, 40, 50%, I think we're heading very much in the right direction. We still miss that, like, oh, what is the point? Like, what is the big, but that is as close as I've ever seen to feeling, aha, okay, there's magic here.
One more point, Gaurav, I think. I don't know how we can write this thing on the slide. So even when a lot of people or companies, even in market research, they say they are doing quantitative, it is still descriptive analysis. So it's like I took my whole survey data and I took some average and I do some segmentation again, just based on descriptive. So there is no model estimation per se, but we actually estimate the model. So there is like a proper behavioral model being estimated.
Is it in okay, can I break, so what would, one way to explain this is into something that we can actually, it has numbers, so the one slide that Pablo was talking about is is there another layer that says socioeconomic data gets you 5% confidence, then that you do whatever you're just telling me right now, descriptive, whatever, gets you 3%. Like, is that, does it fit in this scale?
So it's not the left side, but maybe the middle one. So like after 3A, 3B, we can have another point saying behavioral model estimation.
Okay.
So it's not like, okay, we do all the survey and it's just descriptive statistics, but it's actually a model estimation to really tell a difference between a chance versus something which is likely to happen.
Okay, but then, okay, so that's not changing anything, because everyone is just doing to only get whatever they, that's one of the things that people do for 20%. But one of the things to get to 20, the additional 20% is what you're telling me right now. So it's like 3A, and then I'll move this to 3C, and then we'll have 3B, which is what I just described.
No. So
no.
We don't have to, okay, you can get 20%. So you have to do two things. So first thing, you need to include in the survey what is your motivation. So it's like this. Let's say I have a data where I say, okay, your name is Gaurav, you live in whichever place, right? And then it's like, okay, Gaurav is environmentally conscious, yet at the same time doesn't feel obliged to follow social obligations, right? And then based on that, we collect some response. So this is only a half part where we do include your attitude in the survey, but that doesn't give you like that 22x. You now need to take this attitude and motivation and tie with response through a mathematical model to get that 20%. And that's what I'm alluding to.
Okay. So what you're saying is, so that's just another part of this. Okay, so simulated data plus what you just said.
Yeah. So we can literally say behavioral choice model estimation.
Okay.
Because I'm 100% sure no other platform is doing that.
Okay, so this slide at some point needs to become less complicated, but anyway, let's just put it here for now. And maybe that can also be in the competitive section.
Just two things, Gaurav, I mentioned in the chat, but like confidence level is a different thing from the R squared. I think Subodh will be able to explain better that at some point.
That will change. I'll think of a word because even the variance explained is not really conveying the message. So we will think of something. Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing for me it's a bit unclear is when you say that with each experiment the platform gets better. That's not really true at
It's
this
not
point.
really true at the moment. Yeah.